By the power of technology, fellows, all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, here in downtown Minneapolis, we're joined by Dr. Josie R. Johnson. Give her a warm AALF welcome, fellows.
Thank you.
Josie, how are you doing?
Thank you for asking. I'm doing very well. I consider myself blessed, in great hands, able to see my own life in front of me, great grands, daughters, friends, very blessed. God is good. Thank you for asking.
Well, I'm curious what's keeping you busy. October 7th, you're going to turn the ripe young age of 92. What's keeping you busy these days in Atlanta?
Well, you know, I believe I have grown up with the understanding age has nothing to do with your work and contribution. So I think, whereas I'm not as able to go from meeting to meeting as I once had the opportunity to do, I'm able to spend time thinking about the things we've done over time, the engagement of Black people and their efforts. So my time, praise God, has been an opportunity to review history, think about what is yet to be done, and if there is anything in the world left that God thinks I can do, to get ready to do it. So I don't know if that makes sense to you or not.
Well, certainly it does. And on behalf of AALF and Adora and the program, let me just say thank you to everything that you've done for the African American Leadership Forum. Look at these fellows, Josie. Back when we first started this in 2015, 2016, we had 10 or 12. This year, we have 22 fellows, nearly 70 applicants, which just radiates the explosive growth of this academy and what it's providing to emerging leaders all throughout the state of Minnesota.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. It's our responsibility, their ancestors and their people of history, to not disappoint them, to constantly know we are grateful. We hope we live up to your expectations. Stay in there, young people. My father used to say, keep on keeping on. And that's what we must do. Keep on keeping on. You have a history to live by. You have ancestors who showed us all how to continue the struggle of freedom and justice. And I hope your current day elders are doing our part in following the tradition of our ancestors. You've got a wonderful history, my friends, and I'm grateful that you are doing that history and that I'm blessed to have my name associated with it. God is good. Good luck to you. Work as hard as your ancestors did. And I'll tell you what my dad said, right? Keep on keeping on. Thank you very much, Marc.
Well, speaking of ancestors, if memory serves me correctly, you were the third Josie in your family. And is it true now 3 more have been added down the family tree? Is that correct? There's 6 of y'alls now?
There are 6 Josies now. Thank you. The youngest, gosh, I'm able to spend time with the youngest, the next youngest, the next youngest, right here in Atlanta.
Mhm.
So I've got a Josie Helen and Josie number 4, 5, and Josie number 6, and they're all here. And I'm blessed. Thank you for identifying that.
Mhm. As I have got to know you over the course of 3 decades, because you and I first did this about 30 years ago when I was a young reporter for the local TV station here in the Twin Cities. I
My
know
goodness, you're still that young report.
that. Thank you.
Thank
Um,
you.
I look at success and can measure your success in 2 ways. The accolades, the commendations, the things that you have achieved in your career, but also the obstacles and the barriers and the hurdles that you've overcome. Reflecting back on those obstacles, where did you get your drive? How did you get your toughness to just pursue amidst all the doors that were slammed in your face?
Such a good, thoughtful question.
Thank you.
I grew up in a family of people who fought every day for justice and equality. My father was both parents graduated from Purview, one of the historic Black colleges. And my dad took a job with the Southern Pacific Railroad, and my mother as a caregiver, not only for the elders in my family, but created a children's program. So I kind of grew up among those people who believed in us and worked for us as a people. And I watched my dad fight in our city for justice for Black people and for those who had jobs and whose jobs were often tentative and not really quite secure. So I believe I was fortunate enough to observe all of that without it feeling that it is something so special. It was a part of what we did, it was a part of who we were as a people and as a struggle. So I think it's something that sort of you grow up in that environment. You don't know any other. You have a line of ancestral struggle, and you're conscious of it and feel your need to participate. And it is something you do. You don't think about it as being special or different. It is the tradition that your parents and ancestors, my grandfather was a Black Baptist preacher in the South who struggled, went to community. So I only say that to say that when you grow up in an environment of people who believe in who we are and believe they have to make the contribution, continue the effort, you just keep on, in my father's expression, keep on keeping on without believing you're doing something that's different than other African American people.
So well spoken, as the woman we know as the mother of the Minnesota Civil Rights era.
Thank
When
you.
when I read what you did and what you said and how relentless you were, I think of today's era, and you've done things that have or could result in tremendous bodily harm today. Weren't you ever scared?
You know, the word scared is one that I have some difficulty with. I believe what I felt was this is a part of the struggle. And, you know, once again, you keep on keeping on. It's what is expected of you. I admit that in those days when we created marches in the street, not only in our neighborhoods, but downtown, there was always the need to be extra aware of your environment and what was going on. But there was something about the African American male back in my day, that male who modeled every day and in every struggle the need to protect its community and to be conscious of the possibility of danger, be ready for it, not the ready of a BB a gun or some other kind of instrument like that, but to be ready to protect its children and its women and its community. You felt that as a community. I don't even know if I have words to put around that, but I know I felt the collective togetherness of us as a people and the commonality of the struggle. We all seem to be on the same page, to use a common expression,
Mhm.
and to have a sense of mutual respect and protection of each other. So fear is not something I felt. It somehow got translated into working together. I guess that's kind of a poor set of words, but fear was not one of those that I felt.
Well, besides no fear and working together, I want you to impart your wisdom on those 22 fellows in that room. What do you tell an emerging leader today here in 2022 as they continue and build on their leadership journey here in Minnesota and throughout the region and throughout the United States for that matter?
I am so honored that you invited me to speak to this group of young people. I'm deeply touched by the title, Josie R. Johnson Academy. What does that mean, and how can I express to you, my young people, our civil rights fighters, our knowledgeable young people about their history and their role? You have come to this program with that undergirding. Your parents, your grandparents, your great-grands, you will continue the struggle. Somehow you too will remember, as your ancestors and all of us have remembered, that the system is not eager to have your creative, determined effort in freedom and justice for all of our people. It's not determined that our children, your children, will be the continuing fighters of history. You will continue to model for them that we never, ever forget from whence we've come. We never forget that our ancestors fought in those days when it was truly life or death, and they were determined to live and to carry forward the history of our people. It is probably more of a role for you today than it may have been in my day. But your role is to not let some of the false attitudes prevail. False attitudes about who we are. False attitudes about our common struggle. False attitudes about the other. We have to remember our history and contribute to that history. We make history every day, just living in this environment and surviving all the struggles that are out there. My young friends, show your peers and the younger ones who are looking to you for direction of what it means to be an African American in the world that is so anti-us, and to show what Black people have done throughout the history of this country and the world. Stay committed, work hard, study hard, know your history, contribute in the most positive, productive ways you can of your ancestral teaching. We are a strong people. We have survived, will continue to survive. And we need you, I need you to carry on in the tradition of your ancestors. Not only your intellect, which is so important. People try to take that away from us, but show your respect for the academic efforts of your ancestors and your contemporary scholars. Do your work, do your homework, teach each other, love each other, listen to each other, respect each other, and by all means, respect your elders who have come through a lot in this American tradition. I'm grateful to have had these few moments, and I hope I didn't overreach my time. Marc, thank you. My good friends and young scholars, God bless you and take care of you. Work hard and live up to your ancestors' expectations, and tradition. Thank you so much.
I'm not done with you yet. We've got about
Oh,
10 more minutes on the program.
I didn't
Yesterday,
want to take their time.
that was a
Mark.
great wrap up, though, by the way.
Thank you.
Yesterday, when the African American Leadership Forum of staff got to meet with Adora, Adora's fellows, and this year's cohort, we told them always be ready and have something to say because you never know who might pop into the room. So, with the dignitary that's popped into the room today, I understand some of the fellows have some questions for you that they'd like to ask. So, fellows, if you could, one by one, please, one at a time, step in front of the computer there, state your name, where you're from, and ask the question to Dr. Johnson, please.
Thank you very much.
Who is going to be our leader in that room this morning? There. Here we go.
Hi, Dr. Johnson. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It was very nice having you here and listening to the history. It's an honor to be in your presence today. And I
Thank
just have a question for you. In addition to education, what is the critical tool that we need to have and maintain as a people to advance the fight against oppressive systems?
Well, darling, history is number one. Know from whence you've come. Understand the struggle of our ancestors. And by all means, study. Study your history. Talk with our people. Respect the work that you are doing and understand that your work is critical to the continuation of us as a people. There are so many efforts underway, not only in Minnesota, but throughout the world, to have us forget who we are and to join in the struggle against us rather than the struggle with us. Know your history, darling. Study it. Don't take anything for granted. Talk to your cohorts. Make sure that we are open and eager to learn, because our history is long and it is deep and it has influenced so much. Right now, pay attention to language that you hear on TV screen. How often our words are incorporated in what's said, and we have to be mindful that they are, if we're not careful, stealing our vocabulary, and we have to be aware. So may I urge you to stay in touch with your colleagues, talk, meet with our children in high school, listen to them, hear what they are eager to share but don't know. Because it's a real effort out there to try to get you to forget who you are. Mm-hmm. And we have to stay fighting our way all the time and honoring the struggle of our ancestors. Thank you, darling. What year is this for you?
This is my first year.
All right. And you graduated from where?
I graduated from high school. I graduated from Patrick Henry in North
Oh,
Minneapolis, and then I got my bachelor's from Mankato State. In
good for you.
2012.
All
Yes,
right. Good luck.
She's
thank
a,
you.
she's a twin, Dr. Johnson.
I knew that was
Oh,
coming. I knew it was coming.
oh, how lovely. How lovely.
And her
Has that,
sister used to be one of the employees at ALF.
well, I may have known her, right?
Yeah, you know
I
Brooke.
know I've been away for such a long time, but
Right.
lovely. I hope that twinness means that you also share so much. Think what that means. How much more we benefit from you two.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question from the fellows. Please step up to the mic. Great answer, Dr. Johnson.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Hello, Dr. Johnson.
Hello.
My heart is racing. This is so cool.
Oh,
So
thank
cool to
you.
be here and
Thank
listen. My name is Tiana Kia Bellamy, and I work for St. Paul Public Libraries as a part of their administration as an equity coordinator. And I also come from, my namesake, Kia Davis. I'm from St. Paul. That is part of my family. And sorry, I'm just gonna take.
I know that feeling, darling. I know it. And it's a good feeling. Don't let go. You need that. Hold on to that emotional feeling you have about yourself and your people. It's important. So hold on.
Thank you. I'll hold it while I'm asking the question.
Thank you.
Ask that question too. But my question for you is through, such a storied and, exceptional career in, informing policy and working with community. Can you share an experience in your advocacy work where harm was done internally? So within the Black community, within your work, and how did others or you balance the path forward to accountability while holding kind of that community care? I see it as a gift that you could share to a lot of organizers and advocates now. I think that's something that I at least see a lot of folks struggle with, is how to hold each other accountable and how to move forward with instead of separately.
Yes. Darling, that's such a significant question because in my judgment, there is a great effort, probably more now than in some other periods of our development as a people, to destroy that. If it's destroyed, it's easier for the world to take over, and we can't allow that. In my experience, early on, I think about my father and my mother in Houston, Texas, both of whom were college graduates, and how difficult it was for them to continue to hold on to that pride they had, because the system was constantly trying to bring them down and to cause a forgetfulness of who they are and from whence they've come. So what's important is to know, truly know your history, and truly feel free to talk to other young people about that history. Talk about it. Raise questions that you don't know. Be fearless in raising questions, because you need to raise the questions in order to get answers to the things that continue to attempt to be suppressed in who you are. I have observed lately, and I don't know if that's just my being super sensitive, that there appears to be so much effort in what I call, for the lack of better proper word, stealing our words in song and rhymes of all kinds, of there being what I call sort of a gathering of our experiences as a people without knowing that they're gathering our experiences, and that our young people, many of our young people, don't know that our experiences, our history, our peoplehood is being gathered and spread among those who have no idea what is being taught and said. Read, talk, study, examine. Don't let anything create for you a sense of that's not important. As I look at and listen to commentators and stories that are told, and because of my age, I think I know better, but that may not be true. It may be a deliberate strategy to try to reduce us, because you all are doing so many wonderful, creative, imaginative things now. You are freer, I believe, to test ideas. And I'll use my father's expression, keep on keeping on. Be imaginative. Have conversations with your peers. Challenge ideas that are thrown out there for you to consume and believe that they are a lack of who we are as a people. Study, read, and write. Write your thoughts. Talk with your peers. Create an environment of curiosity. Why is that being said about us? Good luck, darling. And I'm impressed with what you shared with me. Keep on keeping on, as my dad would say. Thank you.
I will.
We probably have time for one more quick question and
A quick answer, right?
well, you go as long as you want to.
You're
All
such
right.
such a gentleman.
Well, you
Oh.
call me my son, so I call you mom, and you get to talk as long as you want.
Thank you.
Well, hello, Dr. Johnson.
Hello.
I'm so honored to be in this space. And as you were talking, I was taking so many notes on things that you said that I'm going to take into my leadership. But then also I was taking notes on how amazing you look. And I want to look that amazing throughout my life too.
Thank you, darling. Give me your name again.
So my name is Ebony Aramabor, and I was born and raised in St. Paul. In the city. So yes.
Oh, what high school did you graduate from?
St. Paul Central.
Okay, my best friend, Katie McWatt, worked there for a very long time, long before you were born. So that's a very special school to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think the question I have, so first I need to preface, I know earlier, Mark, you had asked her if she felt fear, when you think about like the environmental stressors that you all were dealing with, during that time. And I know when you were saying like, no, I didn't feel fear. But then also there was like that collective protection. And so the thing I thought about, so I'm a therapist. I actually own a private practice and I work with predominantly Black people, Black and Brown people. And one thing that I notice is oftentimes there's that fear of emotional vulnerability, right? If I express certain things, then that makes me vulnerable or puts me at risk, or even being able to admit, certain emotions outside of the feel good emotions, we should say. And so do you feel like our emotional experience has been like stunted or disrupted, and that there may be things that we feel, but then maybe there's that fear of like, if I express this, um, then what are the implications? Or even like not even being able to like recognize or to be able to like name certain things, right? Because we have not been able to uh we haven't had the privilege of being able to like feel, because we're constantly having to go go go, fight fight fight, move move move.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, darling, to have such an impressive question raised by one of my young people, it's very, it's very meaningful to me because it means you have felt,
Mm-hmm.
you have observed, you have experienced what your ancestors felt, observed, and experienced. And
Mm-hmm.
to me, that indicates, doesn't it, that
Mm-hmm.
we still have a lot of work in self-assurance and a feel of confidence. We still have a lot of work to do in that area.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that knowing our history and remembering what we were taught by grandma and great grandma about the struggle of that period and that time
Mm-hmm.
is absolutely critical.
Mm-hmm.
And we must find time to sit and listen
Mm-hmm.
and raise questions of that generation. There aren't many of us left that are in our 90s,
Mm-hmm.
very few. And what I'm observing is that if we're not careful, the effort on the part of the majority system
Mm-hmm.
to move us away from our history and try to encourage us to think we are right here, right now, and that's who we are, and to forget from whence we've come. It's critical.
Mm-hmm.
It is important. And it doesn't have to be debilitating or resisted. It just needs to be understood that the people from whence you've come were so critical to the development of a society that the effort to help make us forget from whence we've come is a constant effort on the part of the majority. I'm always happy when I hear that African American studies is introduced in the curriculum of the school system, whatever level of school system. But what worries me is how that history gets interpreted by those who present it or heard by our children.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, your history is more important than it has ever been. And you
Mm.
are more important than we have ever been. You have reached out. People are reaching in to you. The work you're doing, if I understand the discipline of the work, and that's the reaching out, touching others, encouraging, advising, moving others. For you to know from whence you've come is more critical today than ever. The words you use, the attitude you have, the discipline about what your great ancestors fought for, and where you are today as a result of that is very important. And it requires conscious awareness and knowledge of your history, because it gets all jumbled up
Mhm.
and confusing,
Mhm.
and the effort to keep us from remembering from whence we've come is really
Mhm.
a large effort right now.
Mhm.
So good luck to you in the work you're doing, honey.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
know that your adult elder community is here.
Mhm.
Call on them and us when you need to. Don't hesitate to do that. That's our role. It was the role of my ancestors and the elders, and it's the role of your ancestors and elders. So
Mhm.
good luck in your work.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you. I
welcome.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, fellows. Dr. Johnson, we're coming up at the top of the hour. I promised to keep you no longer than 60 minutes, so I want to be mindful of that promise. Fellows, if you'd like to read more of the lessons from Josie R. Johnson, there's a book out there, I believe, something that's called Hope in the Struggle. Are you familiar with that one, Dr. Johnson?
I'm familiar with that one. Thank you. Aren't you nice? Thank you.
Got to throw in a book plug
Happy
for
to
you.
share that book. It's important to me. It's not just a commercial piece. And I'm eager for our students to read it, talk about it together, and build on it. For them to write their story and their book.
And you and I are going to do this again next month because I understand you're coming to the Twin Cities and we're going to sit down at the AALF offices and do our one-on-one interview again. Fellows, a warm goodbye applause from you all, please, to Dr. Josie R. Johnson joining us from Atlanta today. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
very much. Thank you. Have a blessed day and enjoy your work. Keep on keeping on, as my father would say.
All right.
Thank you, Marc.
All right. Thank you too. Thank you, Noreen, your lovely daughter, for always being the greatest executive producer I know. And
Yeah.
you and I will be talking soon. See you, Adora. Thank you for letting us jump.